Hey, everybody, this is Brian Clincy, um, and I'm here with the lovely Leslie Brown. We'll be taking you through our intro, getting to know us, getting to know about the cohort that we're running. Um, it's kind of early, so what we're going to do is we're going to see if some more people is going to join us, and then we will continue. Give them a few minutes to let people join. And that at that time, well, since right now we waiting on things to do, I have a form, a little spreadsheet that you could icebreaker spreadsheet that you could fill out. So if you could please fill out that icebreaker form and let me know something about you. Um, we can fill this time in with getting to know you. Hey, Leslie, do I have audio for you? Just want to check.
Yep.
Okay, I can hear you too. It was really quiet. So, all right. And if you get a chance, go ahead and put in your information into that spreadsheet, into that Google spreadsheet while we let the people pour in. Because I know we should have a huge audience. Everybody wants to know what we do on the back end.
Oh, it looks like it's still view only, the spreadsheet.
Oh, thanks for letting me know. Yeah. Well, it says anyone who can get on the internet with this link can edit. All right. We give it 2 more minutes. And I'm sorry if you can't edit the spreadsheet. I seen people in it, and I don't know what happened. We'll try to get that fixed and update that because we're live. All right, Leslie. I'll let you introduce yourself. Well, first let me start. And this is the introduction to Black Orlando's Tech Cohort Backend Development. And I know that's a real wide open topic, but we're going to meet on Tuesdays, starting August. The second week of August is our first class, and basically we are going to. It's a begin. It's an introduction class, but it is not. It is. Before I go into that, let me go ahead and introduce myself, so we can move forward, and I can tell you a little bit more about me. I hope everybody can see the presentation. My name is Brian Clincy. I am the CEO and co-founder of 13 Integrated Data Solutions. I shorten it down for you for 13 IDS. I've been in development for 25 years, and I've been through a lot of different industries, a lot of different technologies, but yeah, in 1995 I started working on the web, so I've been around here for a while, and we can move ahead. I started my business in 2004. I'll give you a little background on that. When I first started programming, I couldn't really keep a job, and they would tell me it was that chicken or the egg syndrome back in the 90s, where they said we will hire you, but you need more experience, but you can't get experience unless you get hired. So I started my own company to kind of get me involved in some of those give myself some experience. I've worked with a lot of technologies on the web and frameworks, from everything from jQuery to PHP is my stack, the LAMP stack, which is Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. That was the stack that I kind of stuck with. I've done some ASP. I've also done some ASP.NET, a bunch of different technologies that I worked with over the past 25 years. That's crazy. Moving on. Go ahead, Leslie.
All right. Compared to you, I've got a little smidgen of experience. I do have a background in engineering, but I've only been doing software development for about 7 years. I hated coding the first time I learned to. Somebody tried to teach me how to code when I was in college, and I hated it. I hated everything about it. I hated the troubleshooting. It just nothing ever worked, and it was one tiny thing that was wrong. And I didn't really get started until I had a really good mentor who was sitting right next to me, and I could ask questions too. So I learned code in C++, which is made it a lot easier to learn what I use now, which is Ruby. I went from like simulation software, which is like just for running on your desktop, like back when you used to have to like install something on your machine, actually. I'm working on that kind of stuff, and moved to web development a couple years later by taking a boot camp class at the Iron Yard, taught by a different Brian. And that just opened the door to web development for me. So I've worked at a couple of startups since I got into web development, and I absolutely love it. I would not pick another industry right now. You can work on almost anything in web development, and it's just gonna keep growing. So I'm happy to help people get their foot in the door.
All right. See, good mentors help become good mentors. And before I move way beyond the subject, remember to like and share, because sharing is caring. So we appreciate all of the people that's watching, and if you can share it and let people know what we're doing at Bot and what we're doing with these cohorts to bring diversity to technology. Really important to Bot. It's really important to me because I've worked at some startups and been in complete isolation. How has your startup? I'm gonna go off the cuff and I'm gonna ask you about your startup experience. How was your startup experience?
So I've worked at 2 startups now. The first one was very small, like less than 10 people, which was amazing because it was my first web development job out of the Iron Yard boot camp, and because it was at some times it was just me and the CTO, so I got to learn anything and everything. Was working on everything from new features to bug fixes to customer support. Just because there were so few of us, I got to touch so many things and learn so many things. So it was awesome. The company I work at now is called BetterUp, and we probably have 20 to 30 engineers. And the whole company is around 300. So it's a lot bigger than the one I was at. But the engineers are almost all remote, which is really cool because it's kind of built into our day-to-day experience. Working remotely, you have to be really, really good at communicating. So it hasn't been like a very hard transition with all that's going on right now, because I was already working from home.
Did y'all hear that?
It can be tough.
You get to work from home and make a decent living off from home.
Yeah, it is. I mean, because Orlando is a relatively affordable place to live in the grand scheme of things. I mean, okay, and compared to the other big tech cities, it is really cool to be able to work remotely and not have to, have all your money taken up by rent.
or all your time in traffic. Like
Or that.
that's
Oh my gosh, yes,
one of the
commuting.
best things about it, where you can just roll out of bed and get to work and actually connect with people, and and with this course being a virtual course, it will be a lot of it's a lot of self start. I mean, if you're signing up for this cohort, understand it's work, but it's worth it, right? And you'll get an opportunity to get out of bed and get to work and do something and feel well. I get a fulfilling about it. Technology changed my life because it gave me a positive outlook, and it helped me change the course of my life from from fixing VCRs back in the day. I know I'm dating myself, but from fixing VCRs back in the day, I've always enjoyed the fact that it had a logic to it, and I could do it and not have to worry about everything else that's going on in the world. Or I could do it and make the world better. Because if you think about technology, the main thing of technology is to make things simpler and to have things processed. Uh, I take it back to an app store, and you'll understand all the different, like, not only are you buying an app from Apple or Google, but Google has to keep track of the ads that's going through the app. They have to pay the people that pay them, and there's so much going on, and that's why you need to check this out, because the back end is where all that happens.
Yeah.
And like she said, you can work at a startup. I worked at a few startups, and that energy. I worked at startups in the .com age, where we had like some of the craziest parties ever. Uh, and the energy of having 10 people, 20 people, and I've actually worked at it was still a startup, but it had like 300 people. In the grand scheme of things, the growth of it was that it was still in the startup days or whatnot. But it's all that energy behind us that keeps us going. That keeps a great uh, a great. It's like you doing good stuff, and like you streamline and waste. And like when I started my own company, the main thing that I did was eliminate paper. And it was like, oh, you can fill out forms. I used to go to people and tell, hey, instead of having people mail stuff in, they can fill out forms on the internet. And that was the start of getting all this education. I'm self-taught. You went to a boot camp, and what I want to teach in this course is all those things that I wish somebody would have taught me. So that's what you'll get in this course. Okay, we can go back to the presentation. Um, as far as the class is back end development, and that's kind of a broad term, because there are a lot of things working in the back end of the internet. It's a lot of frameworks, a lot of different uh, systems. When you got old stuff, like a lot of the airlines still work on AS400s, and I know I'm nerding out, and a lot of people like, I don't know what an AS400 is, but it's these old mainframe computers that basically just crunch zeros and ones, and like nobody programs in that language anymore, but they still connect to it because it has been working. Uh, to the new mobile apps, to the new mobile, to the touch screens that you use in at McDonald's. All that is being fed by back-end systems. Uh, so back-end developers, we are the gatekeepers to the data and the delivery of data to all these new content and connected internet systems. And what would be some great examples of what what have you worked on that you felt like would be a great example that you could tell them about? Let's see.
One of the things it reminded me when you said you worked on just getting like eliminating paper. One of the things that I worked on in the first web development startup that I was at was software for like meal planning and meal prep and recipe organization and grocery list creation and things like that, that would automate stuff. It would just make things faster. So instead of if you're going to cook for a party and you have a bunch of recipes, instead of looking at all the ingredients and write them on and like estimate, all right, like this is sugar for that and this is sugar for that, all right, how much? instead of having to do all that stuff by hand or like figure it out in an Excel spreadsheet or whatever, just automating it and making it easier to go, here's all the stuff I want to cook. This one I want to make a double for. Tell me my shopping list. Like, just what happens under the hood to just make your life easier, and you don't have to do all this manual work. Tell a computer to do the work for you. Just tell it what to do and it'll do it. It doesn't get tired, doesn't get bored, doesn't need coffee. That's one example.
Right. And it can work while you sleep. But
Yep.
the programming aspect of it and the design aspect of it is the fact that what we do is try to make it the path of least resistance, and work is like, we have all these things that go into creating APIs, which we'll work on in a course where you'll create your own API, and you'll be able to create it where you can share information with different systems. I work for the FAA right now, and they share a lot of information with different departments. And so from every flight that's in the air to every device that's connected to every flight, like in real time, I am sorting through all these numbers to say, okay, which path is the best path, or which path is the best path for oh man, I can't believe I'm at a loss for these for, what do they call the people that work in the tower? Aircraft control. So which is the best handoff for the air traffic control? Making it to the point where where there's less people. Now 10 people can do the job of 20 people that used to, because now they can see all that information in real time, where streamlining the process and making that adjustments on the fly, so people can have the data when they need it and how they need it. That's what backend developers do. Oh, we got a question. Please describe what an API does. Go ahead, Leslie.
Oh, it's me? It's just for me. Application programming interfaces. In web development, it's kind of like the input and output. It defines the things that the parameters you give when you want to get data, and then the parameters that you're going to get back. So if there's a system that does something or records information, it's the agreement that you have between the person or whatever is inputting into it, and like what you know is going to come back out of it.
It's basically a standard between two different interfaces where they can communicate through. So when I have a system over here that all they do is know how many cookies are at Wawa's, right? And I have a system here that says, hey, I'm looking for the cookies that's the closest. The API allows these two to talk to each other seamlessly like this. And so they can come apart without knocking one off, and they can understand each other's understanding of each other's requests. Yeah, so it's just a big translator. Does that make sense? I hope it does. All right, moving on. Now, this is what everybody wants to know. Everybody is looking for. It's like when I say technology changed my life, it gave me access to capital, and it gave me access to doing something that I like, and it gave me access to different, like a whole different, like I'm from the hood, y'all, born and raised in the hood, and seeing what access to information and access to capital has done is why I'm here. So like the titles, there was a multitude of titles, and I only put these ones in here because it was easy. It was easy for me to go through because I've done them, so it's been in my mind. Leslie, if you want to add any titles that you know, because I didn't put a Ruby developer on there.
Oh, there's so many. There's web developer. There's full stack engineer. You could sub engineer in for most of those. You could put backend engineer. You could put system architect if you're doing certain things. There's all kinds of stuff. I mean,
and the beautiful
get into DevOps, then there's a whole other, there's a lot.
And the beautiful part of it is you get to pick it as long as you know this, as long as you can do the stuff in the job description. Like, as long as you have the aptitude to do the stuff in the job description, you get to pick what your title is. Now, I'm a full stack developer, like with that LAMP stack. And full stack developer is kind of misleading because there's no way one person can do it all. But like, you'd be a jack of all trades, the master of none. What happens is with a full stack, you know a little bit, you know enough about the front end that you can get stuff visualized, and you good enough to get the data that you need on the back end. And as you can see, the salaries vary, but it's really this what I kind of fashioned this course around is understanding what you do at work is half of the battle. And if you can learn about the structure of it, actually breaking down the other programming languages, or actually being able to translate those skills into other skills, you can really run the gambit of you can really run the gamut of the job titles that you could actually apply for. So as you can see, there the minimum, like, I think junior developers was making, and I go by hour, how much you make per hour, because a lot of people, that's what they go by. And like my first job, I think I started, I wasn't getting the job because I wasn't asking for my salary to be high enough. That's how bad it was back in the day. But my first job, I started making 30 bucks an hour. When I was actually doing some contract work and stuff like that. So these numbers are for you to look at, but do not be limited by these numbers, or do not be and understand that these, like, you start at a decent rate of living with these numbers that's on the screen right now. And I got them from Glassdoor, Dice, ZipRecruiter, and just doing a Google search. Did you want to add anything to that, Miss Brown?
It just kind of reminded me it's good that you've worked for yourself in the past, because I think a lot of people, when they're trying to get started, if they have trouble finding a job, one way to get your foot in the door could be to do some freelance work at the beginning, and knowing like how to organize yourself and tips for making the most out of that, even if you're not in a salaried position yet. Like, I've worked contract too. I think could also be, it's good that you guys can ask questions to us about that too.
And what Black Orlando Tech is they're a resource for it. And so what fashion this class, I want to make sure that people understand that you have a support group in this class. We will be team orientated, like most of the jobs that I've had, even contracting, they kind of stick you in teams. So we're you have that ability to get to know people who can help you along the way. Like, mentors are mentors. And when you get into this class, what we'll do is we'll make sure that you have an understanding of your shortcomings or your longcomings. And if you're looking for experience, or you're looking for that next step, we could always help you out with either internships or different projects, freelance projects you work, or different routes of going to get experience. Because another way that I got experience was working for nonprofits, and I was able to do some free work and get some legitimacy to move on to do other projects and have projects where people can see them and working in real life. And you kill two birds with one stone, because not only are you helping somebody, not only are you helping yourself getting that experience, but you're also helping an organization that probably needed you more than they needed, probably needed you more than you needed them. All right. This opens up our question and answering session. So we want you to ask us questions, and we'll do our best to answer them right here, right now. So we have a live chat. We have a live chat going on. Just go ahead and drop your questions in there. While those questions come in, I know we did answer one question that came in about the API. And we can nerd out a little bit about any and everything. As a matter of fact, I'll just ask Leslie, like, what type of, like, do you have to be, like you said, you didn't like coding at first. Uh, what what and your mentor kind of brought you in. How did you start liking it?
I think that I was kind of in a unique situation where I was learning to implement something that I already understood very well, and I knew what it was supposed to look like when it was done. So I think that that helped a lot, as well as having the mentor there, because, and that's one of the things I've learned working in engineering, in software engineering in general, whether web development or not, is having a very, very clear picture about what something should look like when it's finished will make your life and your stress levels like a lot better. Because otherwise, if you're going with this back and forth, and you don't even know what success looks like yet when you start, it can be frustrating and demotivating. So I really think that that was one of the reasons why I
Okay,
guess it was my probably third try trying to learn to code. It was probably my third try, and I finally was like, okay, the environment is good now.
all right. So this question kind of feeds into that. So, like, what's a good programming language to start with learning back end development? Ooh, that's a loaded question because to me, PHP was like home because I kind of came from Perl, which was the first programming language on the internet. Um, so PHP really simple to learn, really straightforward from other different program. I mean, really straightforward. And then you really think about programming, it's all about ifs and loops. Once you learn those concepts, you just kind of apply those to the different languages. But I say PHP and JavaScript is where the money is at. Don't get me wrong. JavaScript is if you want a job paying big money right now, just go to Node.js, just become a Node.js developer or a mean stack developer, and that's where the money is. Um, yeah, so hopefully I answered that question, but I think I want to ask Leslie the question on top of that question, and it would be, do you think the different programming language helped you because you said you did PHP before? Do you think the other programming languages is why you started enjoying it more, or the options I have in other programming language, uh, does that help you?
That's a good question because this was so long ago. Like, I think I started trying to learn Perl and when I was in high school, but I got frustrated. And then in college, it was Ada 95, which nobody knows what this is. I think it's similar to what you're talking about. It's like how the aircraft systems, it's what all the legacy code is written in. That was a nightmare. I think nowadays, my experience might not be like super relevant because we're leaps and bounds from where we were then as far as how accessible learning to program is. There are languages and frameworks that make it so that you don't have to know the tiny little details of like, how long is the string going to be? How many letters in the word? Otherwise, if there's one more, everything breaks. You don't have to worry about that when you're first starting to learn nowadays. It's good to know, what happens under the hood, but you can start to learn concepts like he was talking about just loops and like, how do you define a function and what's the input and the output? And, you know, how do you write something that's testable? Like these are things that are a little bit more accessible to a human than those kind of things. So I'm not sure. I think it's, for me, like having a mentor was huge. Having like a problem to solve where I knew what success looked like was huge. And then the language, I don't think made that big of a difference. I think that it's interesting. Like, of course, my answer to this question is like, I work with Ruby on Rails every day, and that I learned Ruby was my first, you know.
Yeah, that's like how you libraries and everything added on the fly.
Oh man, yeah.
But you started with Perl and then went to like was like the heck with it. So that's how I was wondering if the different languages helped you out.
Yeah, I don't know. I think once you get some of the basics down, like you can translate between languages. The concepts are there, and it's just a little bit of syntax and like frustration with configuring your computer that you got to get over. But once you learn your first language, I think that's why like I haven't written stuff and worked in PHP, but I feel like I can help people learn in this class because the ideas and the concepts that I learn and work with every day using Ruby to write backend code can be applied to PHP, even though the little details might be a little bit different.
All right. What tools do you need to download, purchase for this course? Every tool that you need for this course is free. You need a text editor. I use PHP Storm because that's what I really enjoy, but I also use Visual VS Code a lot. You really need you do need a laptop that can really do, because like what happens is you have your local computer is doing what a server would be doing, so you need a local computer that has a little bit of a processing power to be able to connect to be able to run the software, run some of the backend software. Most of this is going to be in most of this project is going to be in my native language, PHP. That doesn't mean all of it is. In that LAMP stack, remember, Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP is going to be a quiz at the end of the at the end of the lab. But most of the stuff is written in that, and all you need is a text editor and a laptop for real. What else? Can you think of anything else you would need?
Doesn't even have to be a laptop. It can be a box too.
Yeah.
It just can't be like super, super old, like from 10 years ago. You might get frustrated with it taking a long time to run things, and not being able to install the latest and greatest if it's super old.
And they might have some cloud solutions to where all you would need is a text editor to SSH into. And
the web and the internet connection. Yeah.
Yeah, internet connection. Yeah. Do you need a tech background to start the class? I would say no. I would say that we're going and I say that I have to catch myself because my aptitude is different than other people's aptitude. So I have to really, to me, I have I'll put a link into the GitHub repository, but to me, it's not a lot. But I do have some prerequisites for you to have. Like I do need you to know what a loop is and what a if statement is, and functions. So like you do have to have some amplitude to get and understand logic. You want to elaborate on that, Leslie?
I think you posted a couple like prerequisite readings and videos to watch and things like that. That would be a good starter.
So as long as you got an open mind, and as long as you're willing to try something that is try something, like the class is an introductory class, but because we're in back end, there is a lot of stuff that we have to send to different front ends, and with that being said, we gotta be able to show our work. Sometimes we have to create front end, like a makeshift front end for people to see it actually working. So the thing about being a back end developer, you need to know what front end developers need and how to adjust those, how to best help them get what they need. And you also need to know how to talk to your DevOps people or the server administrator people to get everything that you need for to deploy your work. I hope I'm not scaring anybody off with this technical jargon, but it's not a real. I would say that it's you have to have some aptitude, but don't check out the prerequisites, and we'll go from there. You want to take this one, Leslie?
That's it. Programming skills. It's particular programming. I would say one of the fundamentals for becoming.
See the question? I don't know if everybody can see the question. So, like,
what programming skills do you feel is the most important to becoming an elite full stack developer? Full disclosure, I don't consider myself an elite full stack developer. I think that those guys are at Google probably, but programming skill is hard because if that word wasn't in there, I would say really clear communication about what it is that you're building. Like, it is very easy to make assumptions, but like the ability to talk to somebody and ask the right questions that get you a very clear picture about what they want your work to accomplish. It's a cheating answer because it's not a programming skill, but I'll pass that ball back to you. You can take the programming one.
I would say that's a unicorn. And I say that a unicorn because a full stack developer, everything, the front end changes so much. And even the back end changes so much. There's new technologies that coming out, new libraries and new frameworks that changes the game. Like, and I often wonder how people do it to keep up with this stuff. But like the fundamentals being having a I would say elite. I'm saying unicorn being an elite full stack, because full stack itself is very hard. But if you're elite full stack, then you're a unicorn. That's half crazy, half no. But yeah, so it's very hard to understand, to keep up with these technologies and to implement those technologies. Like, not only are you saying, I know how to do all the database stuff, how to do all the back end stuff, and all the front end stuff and when you say elite, I would think to the fastest, like the most optimized way, right? And that just doesn't happen. And then business as itself, like most of the times when you want to rewrite something because you find it better, they really just want you to move on and go on to the next task. So the skill that I would say that you have to have is patience. Patient being one skill, and then that drive to always want to know and that want to be the best. So those are two skills that I know could help you power to it. But elite full stack developer is that's a task. Like, yeah, that's a task. Okay, will the cohort be based around projects? Yes. So during this cohort, the vision is that you are building not only are, this is an introduction course, but you are starting to build your place as a backend developer. And so we will have projects at each level. Well, we have projects all through it, so you can actually see your GitHub. And if you don't know what GitHub is, you're probably going to go and check that out, what your GitHub will be. And what that does, it does two things. It shows your process. It shows your progress. It's your own timeline, basically, where you can see where you start. Because my first couple programs that I wrote, I was just like, oh, that is terrible, inefficient. Oh, Yeah, but you get to see your progress throughout the course, and you also get something where you can show future employers how the type of things that you've been around, the type of things that you created.
Yeah, that's like building that out as you go and having that somewhere like public that you can share as a portfolio is super important, because if you try to wait till you're trying to find a job to do that, it's just so overwhelming, and you don't even really know where writing a resume is terrible just in and of itself, but trying to put your portfolio together, get out of here, that's just like, it's so stressful. So doing these little mini projects, I don't think it's one big project, but like these little mini projects that you work on throughout that people can literally look and see like the progress that you made, like you said, is super important.
Yeah. And then like you said, employers want to see it. Like they want to see it. And especially when you first get into the business, because they're like, okay, what have you done? And what we'll stress in this course is that this is what employers like to see. This is the lingo that goes down in the office. These are things that I wish somebody would have taught me that I'm going to teach you. Okay. What's the difference between front end and back end and full stack? Okay, front end work is the pretty work. I like to say front end work is like the interfaces. And you get all these big terms like UI, UX. So UI is user interface, UX is user experience, and these are all the people that like to make feng shui. Like they make your Apple app, or they make your mobile app like one thumbish, like so that's what I think of when I think of front end. And front end is like the actual interface that your end user sees. The back end is the people that create. So the front end says, "Hey, we need all of the I'm gonna keep going with cookies because I'm on the diet. We need all of the chocolate chip cookies when we send a request to this URL." And then we give them all the information that they need. The back end is the people that actually, like I said, regulate the data and content in between systems. So we give mobile the way that they want to see it. Mobile, a lot of times it's JSON. You can look that up if you want to be ahead of the curve. We give mobile their data. We give web pages their data, and basically back-end developers, we work giving and pushing data where it needs to go. We're those people. Full stack is from rooter to the tutor. Full stack means that you do front end, back end, and everything in between. So just think with back-end developers, we work with databases, we work with APIs, we work with integration. I call integration lists. We work with SOAP. We work with JSON. We work with all these different formats and frameworks. Data structures. Like the main thing is data structures when you're working with the back end. So I'm sending out, you asking for cookies, I'm asking for ingredients and how many cookies are in the ingredient. I mean, how much can I get from these ingredients? So back end people really have to understand the structure and try to and understand the structure. And not only do you give them the data, but you try to give them data in chunks where it will be the most useful. And yeah, that's the task. The pre-requirements in the class syllabus is all on the GitHub, and I will send that link out for that. And there just like I'm trying to get you to do with your projects. I want all the information in one area where we can easily exchange it, and that's why you're doing a good GitHub in this class, and that's why you'll use the GitHub to download these projects from with this course too. So I'm gonna send that. It'll be in the chat.
Brian's still on? We lost Brian. Oh, there he is.
I had to trying to get to the other browser and I closed it.
Oh.
I mean, to the other tab and I closed it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I'm kind of long-winded when answering these questions. You can tell me to you can keep these questions coming because that's what we got for you guys. And I'm getting ready to send that link right now. All right, go ahead. I mean, if you got any other questions, like don't be ashamed. Let us know. No question is not a good question unless you don't ask it. We want to talk about personal journeys. I can tell you about personal journeys. Okay, we got another question. Well, oh, okay. I'm glad you asked. What would be the next step after the course? The next step after the course is finding out. This is not like we're not going to typecast you like your high school guidance counselor. What we're going to do is we'll ask you how you feel about the different things. We'll give you opportunity to like if you want to go forward, we'll have ways for you to go forward in back-end programming. Like I said, with internships, maybe more classes, maybe maybe ride-alongs with some of the stuff that I do. So after the course, my job is to try to get you in technology. So if you feel like you want to go forward with it, we'll find a way for you to go forward. If you feel like this ain't your cup of tea, if you feel like you want to start with something a little bit simpler, we might send you to front end people. Cohort. That was a joke. I'm sorry. It's a terrible joke. My bad. But so basically after the course, we're going to do an assessment with you, just like they do at work. They sit down and talk to you like, what do you feel like you did? And how do you feel like you've grown? Like, so after the course, we'll do about that same evaluation.
Yeah, back-end developers would make joke about front-end. But man, if I didn't have my dedicated front-end developers to lean on, my stuff would look like a white background with a couple of black text and a table.
It would work. That's what
it would work. Yeah. I'm real good. That's what I like to tell people. Like, I make it work, I'll make it functional, and then I'll pass it off to somebody who will make it absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's not hard. Some people are good at both of it, but man,
it's an anomaly if you're good at both of it because you got to see the art. I mean,
exactly.
It's job-ish because you got to see the art and how people actually use your platforms and use the information. It's an art to it. So I'm not an artist. I am a numbers guy. I get you the numbers you need, and we can move on from that point. But other than that, I can't make it look pretty. I'd say my first thing is functional. And with that being said, when doing back-end development, or any type of development, your customer really dictates what's good and what's not good. So be open to criticism, uh, but don't internalize it. If it was one thing that I could say, that would be my wisdom from this gray. Be open to criticism, but don't internalize it. And I'm available. This is my contact information. I'm available. Uh, Scan that QR code, and you get my whole info like right to your phone right there with my picture and everything. Um, Scan it. I'm available if you have any questions after this or something pop up and you're like, hey, I would like to know this. My Black Orlando Tech and my objective personally is to uh, help people get into technology and lead them forward. I didn't have that as a I didn't have a jump off. I didn't have a good mentor when I first started. So I want to make sure that I want to make sure that people get, especially my people, get into this gold rush because we are representative, and some of the things that we work on affect our day to day life, and it is important for us to be represented in the office, in technology, uh, and it's important for us to make a living that we can really live with. So, like, technology is the future. Whichever we doing it, we're gonna have to do it more streamlined approach. Uh, Waste is waste, and technology eliminates waste. So, uh, like I said, I'm always available. Hit me up if you have any questions after this. Hit me up if you thinking about the class and just want me to go ahead and push you forward. This is my first class, um, but I've worked with multiple new developers. I've gotten people into technologies where it's changed their lives. So, we got another question. What would you do to say to encourage younger generations to get into tech? Uh, I'll give you a shot at this first because I think I just gave a good spiel. So I'll go ahead.
Yeah, it's hard to top what you just said because those are all such important points. I think one thing would be you can choose, you can find somewhere where you're really interested in what the company's doing, and if you can't find something, you can start it yourself. If you want to, you can get into almost any industry. You can work on websites that help people rehome animals that need home. You can help work on websites to help people register to vote, help people find restaurants that cater to their needs around that. There's just, you want to make a way to look at cool pictures of stuff in space. Like if you're interested in something, there's something on the internet that you can work on. So,
and the other part about it, young people, if you want to be a part of something and you want to build capital and you want to be around successful people with capital, this is the way to do it. Change the world. Every technologist is changing the world. Like they're changing the world. So this is your jumping point to change the world in your own way. So I hope I hope that you don't just become a consumer of the tech. I hope that you start to and especially in this climate, I hope that you start dictating what you need for the tech to do for the next, because tech will be the part of life that influence the rest of the culture. Mean stack. Oh yeah, I've worked in the mean stack a few times, and you can create a full stack in the mean stack. And for mean, I think it was what's the first M? Mongo, Express, uh, Angular, and what's the N? Wow, I can't
is
believe.
it a Node?
Yeah, yep, that's it. Oh, duh. So Mongo is a database. Um, Express is the web server. Angular is the front end aspect of it, and like the back end of it. And you can create an application, a whole application in Node, and actually run it on the same server with the two different ports working in conjunction. When do we start? The first week in August is the start. I believe that is. Now I got to pull out my handy dandy calendar. So the first week of August, we actually will be starting the second week of August because that's my vacation. So August 11th is the first day of class. And while we at this, don't forget to share, like, and let us know, comment on what we could do better, and spread the word because sharing is caring. And go ahead, take it away, Leslie.
Take it away. Oh man. Yeah, send either one of us a message if you've got questions. And I need to get one of these little QR codes, man, instead of putting my bullet points there. You can, contact me on any of those things. And yeah, it's really hard to get started sometimes. I've seen a lot of people try and kind of get frustrated. So Brian will be driving. I'm going to help as much as I can, help you get over the stumbling blocks that always come up when you're trying to break into something new, especially when you're trying to set up your machine and stuff is just a hot mess. I'll do my best to help. This is an amazing industry, and I want to help as many people get into it that are interested as possible.
The first week is the hardest week, but keep going.
God, yeah.
Good things come to those who wait. Good things come to those who persevere. And if you're not seeing it, I want you to understand. Do you not see the alumni, MIT.edu behind her name? So she is a MIT graduate. I'm geeking out for the tech people. MIT is like the standard for tech. Like that's where tech. That's where all the GNU stuff come from. Like, Leslie, you should let people know your credentials.
That's where Tony Stark went. Right? No. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't study computer science there. I'll tell you, I was intimidated, and I thought all the guys at MIT would have been coding in their basement since they were 12 years old. And I'm like, I'm not going to start that when I'm already so far behind. And in hindsight, I wish I did. So I didn't study it in college. So honestly, like that's not really. Don't let that make you think that if you don't. Yeah.
Greatness is greatness. When you go to the top, you at the top. Leslie, whatever way greatness is greatness. And she's showing you her greatness, and she's here to help. I appreciate it. And I look forward to it, forward to working with you. And I look forward to people signing up for this course. Like I said, sign up for the course. It's $100. You get what, $40 back or $60 back or whatever way is worth it. It's a way where you can change your life and get exposed to something that you might not have been exposed to or might not understood. Like, go ahead, sign up. And if you have questions, nobody's more available than me. I gave y'all my contact, and let's do it.
Yeah, and don't let money stop you. If money is any sort of like a stop message to one of us, we don't want that to hold you back.
Right. Now, if there's any more questions, we'll take it, but we are almost out of time. Yep. So it like it was stated, it's $100 paid registration, $60 refunded upon completion. That means that you've been in class and you understood and you stuck with us that whole 8 weeks. It's an 8-week course, and like I said, try it. If you don't like it, you'll get some feedback at the end of the course, and I hope everybody enjoyed themselves tonight. I hope I gave you a good enough information on what the course is about. If I have not, like I said, I'm available, and I'm thankful that Leslie will help me in this course. And Leslie, if you got the last word.
Just try it. Just sign up.
Remember, like and share. Sharing is caring. And that is our hour, and we out.